Las Fierbints has always thrived on its ability to mix satire, absurdity, and genuine emotion, and Caraibe Partea Mai is no exception. This episode manages to turn the quiet village life of Fierbinți into a poetic and ironic meditation on the idea of escape. From the very first scene, where Bobiță sits in front of the bar with a glass of beer and dreams aloud of white sands and turquoise water, the story begins to unfold as a fantasy shared by the whole community. The beauty of this episode lies not in the realism of its setting, but in the way it captures the collective psychology of people who are too familiar with disappointment and yet never stop dreaming. The idea of the Caribbean becomes a metaphor for every unfulfilled promise, every postponed joy, and every impossible adventure that small-town life tends to hide behind laughter and routine. Each character reacts differently to this idea. Gianni, ever the opportunist, sees it as a business plan and immediately starts to calculate how much money he could make selling Caribbean cocktails in Fierbinți. Dorel, whose naivety is both charming and tragic, believes that the Caribbean is a place where even the water tastes like rum, and his eyes light up like a child's whenever he hears the word. Aspirina, as always, brings a cynical balance to their fantasies, calling them dreamers without passports. Yet even she cannot help but imagine herself in a world where the sea touches her feet. The cinematography supports this atmosphere beautifully, playing with warm tones and slow camera movements that contrast with the cold, static reality of the village. The episode doesn't just mock these dreams, it sympathizes with them. It shows how escapism becomes a survival mechanism when life offers too little to hold on to. One of the most powerful scenes comes when Celentano, drunk but unexpectedly lucid, stands by the village pond and says that maybe the Caribbean isn't far away, maybe it's right here if you close your eyes. The scene feels improvised, almost poetic, and it captures the bittersweet core of the series, the recognition that happiness often hides behind absurdity. The writing shines in its simplicity. There are no long speeches, no overt moral lessons, only the rhythm of everyday speech that turns into something almost philosophical. The humor of the episode is gentle but sharp, revealing truths about how people in small communities live their lives between hope and resignation. The Caribbean dream gives them purpose, however temporary it may be. It unites them, if only for a moment, in a shared illusion that feels more real than their daily struggles. There is also an underlying commentary on globalization and media influence. The way characters talk about palm trees and coconuts without ever having seen one speaks volumes about how images and fantasies from television replace genuine experience. Fierbinți, in this sense, becomes a microcosm of a world addicted to imagination yet deprived of real change. What makes this episode stand out is its tonal balance. It doesn't ridicule its characters for dreaming, nor does it glorify their illusions. Instead, it paints them with tenderness, showing how laughter can coexist with melancholy. The dialogue feels improvised, and the camera often lingers on silent moments, where the characters' eyes betray more than their words. Caraibe Partea Wine is ultimately about the geography of longing. It's about how the idea of somewhere else always seems brighter than the place we're in, and yet, deep down, we know that the escape we long for is emotional rather than physical. The Caribbean of Fierbinți is not a destination, but a feeling, one that exists only as long as the conversation lasts, only as long as the dream is shared among friends, who, despite everything, still find joy in imagining the impossible.